Ladies and gentlemen, now it is the end of the Seven Deadly Sins Origin closed beta. It's about to shut down tomorrow morning until the end of January when this game officially goes live. So while the whole characters and the meta is very fresh in my head, I wanted to sit down and talk about who I believe are some of the strongest characters, who we see just performing crazy things, and who's been like a little bit underwhelming so far. So I've got my experience, but I've been talking to a lot of people on Discord. I think I've probably got about like 10 to 20 friends that are just like sweaty farming this game, trying to figure things out. So yeah, it's been a really fun week just trying to like solve the meta and see what are the best teams, the best strategies, who's kind of underrated, are there any like secret abilities anywhere, good synergies. So let's talk about the best characters right now. The big nuke Jericho. Jericho fully maxed out on the beta is absolutely ridiculous, but even if you get her fresh, you get her one copy as your starting character, she still has an amazing ability to go through the game and be the primary damage dealer. But the big thing she lacks initially until you get a lot more gear is kind of like just good sustain and survivability. She really doesn't have that built into her kit. So if you get Jericho early on, you really want a Meliodas in order just to have that massive heal. They work so well together. Jericho and Meli is just a goated team. It is a very strong one. So if you're able to pull both of those characters very early on, you're going to have an absolutely tremendous time. So Jericho, by far, #1 damage dealer. Deanne is absolutely incredible. Deanne is easy second on the damage from my experience. Her damage isn't that far behind Jericho. Jericho just gets into her elemental burst very quickly. But the big advantage that Deanne has is even by herself or like another Earth ally, she is so incredibly tanky. She has like this passive ability where you burst the opponent, you get a massive shield, you start healing, and then when you stack up more synergies with Elaine and King, like the Deanne team is just so incredibly tanky. You have like infinite survivability, you can put Meliodas in the back. So I would say for the majority of people that just want to kind of feel like an immortal god and want like a big buffer of safety to play with, the Deanne team is still my favorite personally, and I think is going to serve a lot of people well on the global release because there are so many ways that you can build the Deanne team as well as a lot of different characters. I believe there's like now 7 or 8 characters already in the base roster with some sort of synergy, so it's very easy to get that online and just kind of bring in the switching and breaking. Even Tiore, one of the starting characters, is Earth as well, so if you can't pull anybody aside from Deanne, you still have the ability to make that team work just with those 2 characters. So yeah, that is a really good one, I believe, for a wide majority of players. But that's kind of the way you want to think about initially going at the moment, assuming that things were in a very similar state to what they are in beta. It's either kind of like a Jericho and Meli team, or like a Deanne team, and then hope you get like a Lane and King is like the absolute ideal scenario, but if not, substitute some more Earth characters there as well. Now, generally in the A tier, you've got the support characters that are just doing so much work. So first up, you got Daisy. Now, Daisy is one of the most like all-around best support characters that kind of fits into any team because she's got like a lightning weapon and also an earth weapon. The earth weapon combos really well with Deanne if you want to lower the opponent's earth resistance, and just have that swap in so that you can kind of gain more gauge so you can trigger your elemental burst easier. But she also has one of the most powerful crit damage support kits with her lightning spec, and this is just amazing for Jericho. Like the Jericho, Meliodas, Deanne, and also Manny team. Manny's this OC just on the right hand side here. This team is like the #1 kind of big nuke team for the majority. But yeah, Daisy is fantastic support. And a lot of this game as well, it can be single player, but it can be up to 5 multiplayer. in any sort of boss fight, any sort of dungeon. So there's a lot of value and reliance on support amplification, right? You know, if you are maybe not the strongest player in your party, one thing you can do of exponential value is just bring these support characters, not only to buff up yourself, but also share those buffs with your party as well. So yeah, they're doing a lot of work. Elaine as well is just insane, dude. She has this massive shield ability, so you can like constantly give yourself a lot of protection, and then on top of that, she has a 50% damage reduction. So World of Warcraft term, she's kind of like a discipline priest that spams shield wall on the entire raid. She is really, really good, and she synergizes very well with Diane. She also reduces the opponent's like resistance to burst, so it makes it easier to enter that bursted state. Like Elaine and Diane is just an insane combo. It is very, very strong. And then King kind of completes the Earth Team trio. He has a passive which increases attack and defense. He is like a Earth attack buff as well, and he's just a great champion to switch into the Earth Team. So the three of those are very, very strong. And then Manny has like a massive crit damage buff, and is just like a really good addition to any team where you're looking to squeeze out a little bit more. But ideally, I think Daisy is a little bit better, generally speaking, at least at this gear level in comparison to Manny, just because Daisy also gives crit chance as alongside crit damage as well, but potentially at much higher gear levels, we might see a shift toward Manny because, yeah, she gives a lot of crit damage on her core ability there. But yeah, those are essentially kind of the main strategies that people are using. Big Jericho team, big Diane team. There are lots of ways to kind of play around with all 7 characters you see up the top in order to, you know, create all sorts of like interesting combos, primarily around the big 3. And then a little bit lower down, we have the B tier characters. So we've got Drake, who is a lightning character. And I just don't think there's the kind of right synergy and support for Lightning right now. And he's just not good enough on his own in comparison to what, you know, Diane and Jericho bring to the table. So my experience testing him, which has been somewhat limited, I've been very disappointed. And I haven't seen like a lot of people really excited about Drake that have tested him. Gila as well. Gila's just a little bit awkward with the transformation and how she plays. And I believe currently she is meant to be like the main carry of the fire DPS team, and she just feels nowhere near as good as like Frost or Earth. So yeah, I really wanted to enjoy Gila, but I just haven't really enjoyed playing her that much in any of my testing so far. And then we got SR Hendrickson. Now, Hendrickson is here just because he buffs Melee, man. And Melee, like, with the axe can be a little bit of a monster. So, yeah, Hendrickson, he's sometimes a little bit hard to fit in, and the Darkness team is a little bit weird. But I think, you know, there's maybe some okay stuff that you can do to support Melee with Hendrickson there. And then we have Slater, who's a fire or physical character. Slater's all right. He's got some decent damage, but he's nothing like really special or interesting, and doesn't seem to be at the level of performance of the big 3 there. Hauser is like my personal favorite of the starting 4, just because he's really like fun to play and practical to play. So yeah, I really like Hauser for a lot of early game progression if you don't get, you know, lucky and you don't want to reroll. And then we got a lot of other characters, mainly like limited by their rarity, SR characters that you know, aren't really doing anything like super special. And like once you get to a certain point, you know, you've just got much stronger characters that are providing core buffs. They're providing a core piece of the team and strategy. But maybe if there are certain elements that come into the mix, if Lightning you know, shoots up a little bit more in the future, or if fire support is more practical for Tristan, or like, I know he's got also, what is it, air support as well. Maybe there's a scenario where those two could go up a little bit. Tiore, I feel like, has all of the worst animations and attacks for being a support character. I really do, man. She's just so awkward to play in so many scenarios in comparison to like how quick it is to switch out a lot of the other supports. And Bug he's a cool OC, but dude, the most powerful thing about Bug is just his like world exploration ability. If you get this character, you should be very, very happy early on, because you can just get everything that's really annoying to get in the open world, because he essentially unlocks flying a little bit earlier. You turn into a Bug and you can get all of the rare things. So Bug is very nice to see early on from one of your SR pulls. And then finally, we kind of just got the meme tier, which is Griamore's son, and also Dreyfus. And the kits are just like very weird for these. Like these two have like tank kits, but there's not really like a proper tank role or a super need for that, because everything like dies so quickly. You can dodge a lot of bosses. In most group scenarios, there's somebody playing Diane, and she taunts as well and is dealing like almost Jericho levels of damage. So yeah, these just seem super redundant. And then I was checking out Dreyfus's abilities, and he just doesn't really seem to do anything that significant. So yeah, just seemed a little bit disappointing, but I mean, you know, it's kind of the filler SR characters in the banner. But maybe I'm sleeping on some interesting things there. I did see like one thing with Griamore where he like lowers elemental burst resistance. So maybe there's like some sort of clutch scenario where that comes into play with a certain team. But for the dominant teams right now, Jericho and Deanne, like you just don't really need that utility to cycle a lot of their core rotations. So yeah, I just think there's better options out there right now. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for a very early look at the tier list and the meta in 7th Deadly Sins Origin. I said it at the start, but I'm going to say it again. This is the beta of the game. Things are subject to change. The top teams could be brought down. The bottom teams could be brought up. I think like character and IP wise though, like everything kind of feels like it's in the right spot for the game. There are some characters that I would like to see brought up a little bit as well, and some weapons that I think could use a bit more. But like, you know, Deanne, Meliodas, Jericho being like 3 of the most OP, it's not really like too much of a surprise there. And King's like, I'd like to see King up the top ideally, just from like purely like a 7th Deadly Sins fan perspective. But King is mainly just there to like buff up Deanne. King without Deanne is not, it just doesn't have that core piece of the team that it really needs, because Deanne is just such the absolute massive carry on that team, because her damage output is really, really wild. Like she gets absolutely cooking. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you all very much for watching. Take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.
You are not subscribed to the whale sin of spending? Who decided that? Subscribe now, or enjoy the bitter taste of regret.